both players starting in Sanctuary, finding Map of Hyrule Castle.
Gotta
Great
make
map
sure
to
you know
find.
where that is.
Yeah. So what do you think the first key we're gonna find tonight is?
The very first key we will find, I think, is going to be a Misery Mire small key. That, of course, if these runners know what they're doing, has no value for them. But I think they're going to find it first.
There's quite a few of them spread around Hyrule to find. So, level 1 tree pull, hearts not really useful at this point in the game.
You know what? That bush crab, 5 rupees each time, I would take that over the hearts any day.
Oh yeah. So Vulajin managing to get 5 of them, Spooty getting... Or I'm sorry, Vulajin gets 6, Spooty gets 7, plus an extra 1 for his trouble. Small
and what's
key
that on the
Lumberjack ledge.
Oh no.
We don't know what
Ladies and gentlemen, in chat, if you want an Ganon seed, maybe we have one. We can't tell at this point.
Yep. That's the beauty of it. You can't tell what type of key it is. You know if it's a big or small key, but who knows where it's for. Almost at Mushroom location.
Yeah, that's a nice little find early on. We might see them use that in somewhere like Mini Moldorm Cave to just clean everything up. And a Moon Pearl.
Wow. Yep. Assuming they find a sword before Mini Moldorm, which they may not. Big 20 in Link's house.
So it looks like Spooty's going to take that south route. Really effective here since he's gotten no bombs so far on his way to the village. Vulajin's going to have to... well, he's going to have 1 bomb, and then he's going to be hoping he gets something more.
Assuming he takes the standard route and he checks blind spot first, that's 5 locations where he could find a bomb.
Yeah, Spooty getting one on his first pass through.
Let's see, Spooty gonna go check race game, see what's over there on that ledge. Just a map. Don't think you would want to waste your bomb on that quite yet.
Probably not when you only have 1. Vulajin finds the silvers, the power glove, the blue mail, and a map. That was almost 5 great items there.
Map to ice isn't bad with bombos. That could tell you whether or not you would want to go in without Fire Rod. And that's 50 rupees.
That's a great observation, actually. Ice being that weird one with 2 ways of getting through.
Yep. 50 rupees gives him enough money to either buy bombs if he wants to, or see what the bottle vendor has for sale today.
Bottle vendor's a bit risky. He's going to pass on that till he's got some more money. Good choice, I'd say. And Spooty's just going to farm up a few more bombs down in the southwest.
Big 20 in the back of the tavern. As Spooty works his way around collecting the bombs out of that house in the southwest of Kakariko. Vulajin was hoping for bombs in the back of the tavern, but wasn't there, so he had to go buy some. Still, 120 rupee will pull him back at ball vendor money.
Well, and worst comes to worst, he should be able to pull the money he needs from down in the well area.
Shield in the chicken hut. And a chicken stuck in the wall still.
Well, I don't know how good that shield will be, but hey, nothing wrong with a chicken in the wall.
If it was cooked, this could be Castlevania instead. First chest. Small key to Ice Palace.
Well, I'm sad. I wanted a Meyer small key.
It's almost as useless as a Meyer small key.
Entirely true when these 2 runners know what they're doing.
Wow, Swamp Palace small key real early.
That one actually useful. I'm sure Vulajin's pleased to see that.
We'll see if he decides to go in there early or not. thing with Swamp Palace is without the hammer, you could check 2 chests, and sometimes that second one beyond the Bombo wall is real important.
And Villages is going to give us a library check. We saw one earlier, but it was so fast from Spooty I didn't catch it. It's just a map.
And looks like he will grab the map from the race game.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Spooty picking up those great set of items from the Thieves' Hut.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff early. Let's see, who decides to check back of escape first?
I wouldn't be surprised to see either runner go straight there now. Vulajin moves his arrow down there and then says, nope, we're not doing that, unfortunately.
I feel like that's kind of risky to check South Shore without a sword to start, or really any kind of offensive weapon aside from bombs. Even with this number of bombs, I'd still rather check escape and hope there's something there.
Yeah, I mean, checking escape sets you down 1 bomb, but even if you're Vulajin, that's still 8 bombs. That should be enough to clear it in a pinch.
Oh, yeah.
We can see another Ice Palace key from Spooty and then Vulajin. Maybe the Dam will have a sword before they have to go kill snakes.
Hmm. So, 300 rupees in the flooded area. Zora money, potion money, pod money. You need a decent amount of money to do stuff in the game, so that doesn't hurt.
So Vulajin's a bit short on cash compared to Spooty. Did Spooty skip the bottle vendor?
I'm not sure, he may have, because that would be the difference.
I mean, it's only a piece of heart. It's not going to cost him too much, but, you know, depending on what we see out of this cave, Spooty might be in a position to fake flipper up to Zora.
Mm.
There's an Aga Tower key, a Desert key, one of the first of 6 pod keys, and a bit more cash, but not enough for the Zora play.
Do you risk fake flipper anyway and hope that there's something in Waterfall of Wishing?
I mean, Waterfall of Wishing can have what you want. I'm just always reluctant to do that because if you don't find something there, if you don't get that cash for Zora, Zora's now so far out of the way, and you just won't go back there forever.
Yeah, at that point you would just hope to route it in with Mira Catfish.
And that works great. That works fantastically until you get that seed where Mira's at Zora, and you never had the chance to go back there early.
Yep. No, there's small key for GT in Ice Rod Cave. Vulajin, gotta be careful. A little bit.
Well, looks like Spooty's going back for the fake flippers. Remains to be seen which one he'll do. Maybe both sets, Hobo and Waterfall of Wishing.
Can be a little bit tricky to set this up sometimes.
Now, look at Vulajin here. Vulajin is buying bombs, and then presumably going east. First, he's going to check that island and see just an arrow upgrade. And I called that wrong. He's not buying bombs at all.
Yep, gotta go to Froshla's hut and possibly check Eastern. So we'll get to see what our green pendant is shortly. Waterfall contains compass for Hera, Ed, big 20, not enough for Zora.
No, that's unfortunate. But you know, the gambles are the gambles. And green pendant in Misery Mire. So Finally, 10 minutes in, there's a reference to Misery Mire.
Flippers, piece of heart, big 20. So fake flipper play, not terribly important. You get flippers so early.
Yeah, of course, Spooty had no way of knowing, but
Absolutely.
that'll ding him a bit if Zora has something important.
Yep. We'll go and see what the hobo has for us today as Vulajin makes his way to Eastern. Hobo, what you got? Near vanilla, it's a bottle with some red goo in it.
Alright, so the hobo's got the bottle. I understand that. That all makes sense. How did he get the red goo into that bottle if all he does is sit under the bridge?
Don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
That's a fair point. Hachu, where do you
Yes.
think the GT big key is? I'm sorry, I shouldn't ask those kinds of questions. Let's wait and find out.
Yep. So, Spooty checking back escape. Let's see. Shovel, big 20, and a heart container. Heart container's nice at this point. Shovel, take it or leave it.
So, turns out Vulajin has made a great play by going all the way to Eastern. There's a sword in the second chest of Eastern.
Nice.
And
That
I like
would-
this from Spooty. He's just going to convert that shovel right away, not leave it hanging.
Yeah, at this point, not a whole lot of places left to check, aside from going Eastern, might as well. Plus, this way he can turn the bottle into it if he thinks that might lead somewhere.
That's right, this does get him pretty close to the village. And there's a book!
Arrow upgrade in Eastern.
So, yeah, it looks like Spooty's going to go visit Sick Kid, but that book could lead him into Desert and Great Things, especially since they have that small key. But it might just keep Spooty away from Eastern, which I think is where he wants to be if he wants to have a sword.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a sword in Desert too, but... Ooh, that's really a tough call to... Where would you want to go? Early book, early Desert small key.
Oh, there's Quake from the Sick Kid.
So, 2 early medallions. And Spooty gone by.
You know, I think hold off on doing Desert for just a bit, and you hope you're going to come up with a fire source and some sort of weapon so that on your first trip there, you can kill Landmos. But of course, that all hinges on having the Desert Key, the big key, which they don't.
Means Rashla is 3 items. Eastern is another, 3 you can check without the big key? 4.
4 if you want to do what Vulajin did and run through the dark.
Yeah. So, 7 items, 6 if you don't want to do the dark room. But with a sword, it's not so bad in the dark. Versus Desert, which is 2 pieces of knowledge on the ledge if you don't want to go get it, plus the torch, then another 3 items you could get right now. So...
Alright, looks like Spooty might be thinking he needs to do Zora anyways, because he's picking up the free 50 rupees here. But also going to be heading to Desert, it looks like.
Yeah, money grinding makes Desert slightly more appealing as a play.
And Vulajin deciding whether he's going to buy bombs or not. I think he's made that call now. Oh no, I'm sorry, he's got the flippers. He can go straight into the lake.
Yep. He wants to go for a swim. Looks like he was questioning what he wanted to do, though, so... Spooty and Aghanas Cave, we'll see what this location has for us today. Map to pod.
So that's a few Dark World maps now.
Yep. Couple maps, plus we know Meyer is green pendant.
Of course, in Keysanity, how much does that really matter when, based on what we've seen in 2 weeks, basically every runner checks almost the entire game on their way to clear things.
Mm-hmm. That just tells you, depending on what pedestal has, whether or not you're gonna check Meyer early or later. So Vulajin getting his whole on nothing from Warfall to Wishing. Spooty's gonna see what Desert has in store for him. Without a sword, it is a little bit trickier.
Yeah, fortunately he's got a lot of bombs, because he does have to clear out the popos on the right side.
Yep.
And looks like Vulajin might actually go around and collect those 50 rupees on Zora's Ledge. Or maybe he's still farming, trying to get enough to be able to pay off Zora here.
Well, if he could get 2 big 20s from here, he'd be able to,
yeah, that's right.
Moot point now, but he'd be able to grab the money from there.
Yeah, he's going to bail on that. We saw a small key of sorts on the torch in Desert.
Okay.
So that's now 2 small keys we've seen that are blocked by having the boots. I'm starting to think we might get them pretty early. And there's the Desert big key in Desert.
Wow. Near vanilla, it's 1 room away.
Oh.
Ooh, that makes Desert now just that much worse, I guess. Without any real way to, like, complete it. Mirror at Uncle.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're Vulajin, all you need to finish Desert once you get there is a fire source, either the lamp or the fire rod, and you can go straight into Landmo. Spooty just needs that extra sword. Looks like Vulajin's going to show us all of Escape, and Spooty just finds a small key to Meyer. That's the first item in the seed, right?
Sure.
You know, discounting every other item we found. That's the first item.
For certain base number systems, yeah, that can be one. So, for those of you tuning in, ooh, hammer. Very nice to go with the fire sword. For those of you just tuning in, wondering why they're finding keys for other dungeons and stuff everywhere else, this is Keysanity mode. Dungeon items are placed everywhere in the world instead of being kept within their respective dungeons. So you could find the Swamp Palace small key in, Link's house. You could find the Ganon's Tower big key buried where the flute would be in the regular game. So it adds an extra level of routing in, because if you can go in a dungeon, you might only be able to check the first 2 chests, but that might be enough to send you somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a very good description. The only thing I love to add, and my favorite thing about Keysanity, is how it just makes the runners often switch back and forth across the world as they keep diving into dungeons, pulling that one progression item they need. You're going to see these guys backtrack a lot tonight.
Optimally, you'll be able to kind of check stuff around the location you want to go to. Doesn't always work like that. So, both players in the castle. Gotta see Vulajin mirror out, see where he decides to go from here.
Looks like he's going to make that play on the sewers, going through all the way to that one chest.
A little bit harder without a lamp, but he should be fine.
And meanwhile, Spooty has picked up the hammer and is hot on Vulajin's heels here. The hammer is going to be a big save for Spooty, who didn't have a weapon before that. Unfortunately, I'm worried that Spooty's going to head to the Dark World, isn't going to do Eastern for a while, and he may have a bit of a run for his money hammering everything.
I mean, hammer does tempered damage, so it's not the worst weapon you could have at this point.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Just if he ends up finding something like the big key for Thieves Town, Hammer Blind, that's always a good time.
If that descends on our runners, if Spooty has to deal with that, I hope he just gets a couple more heart containers. There's the ice rod in the dark room at sewers for Vulajin.
Ooh, that's
Nice play going to grab that.
That's interesting, plus it's an extra weapon. It's something ranged. So till he finds the bow, that could be his best friend if he needs to hit something far away.
And Spooty's going to make that same play now, get that ice rod. At this point, I think our runners are pretty much out of Light World locations between the two of them. And Vulajin's going to make that play, probably get his Quake from the Sickid and then head to the Dark World.
Yeah, unless somebody would want to do Dark Cave for the old man and go check a couple spots in Death Mountain.
You know, that is a possibility, but you know, without Hookshot, without never mind, they do have Mirror, but without Harakeys, I feel like that's a bit riskier. So, you know, it's on the table, and I'm glad to see neither runners trying it yet.
Yeah, at this point, just going to Dark World, checking First Floor in Thieves Town, checking Skullwoods, checking the 3 locations in Dark Town. That seems like a safer play.
No question. As Spooty tries to hammer his way around, finds that chest, there is his ice rod.
Vulajin descending into Skullwoods. Let's see what it has for us today.
So it looks like Spooty's making that same play towards the Dark World, probably doing Skullwoods as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think they've, between them, covered the whole Light World. It's just that Vulajin's done Eastern and Spooty's done the desert area.
Yep. That would be correct.
Well, and of course, Spooty dug up the book, which is the whole reason he got into desert.
A little bit surprised he wouldn't have gone to check Roshlan Easter, because that's a lot of locations in some time, not a whole lot of time. Oh, we're gonna get a pedestal check, though.
We are. Chat, if you were hoping for a pedestal seed, now is the time when you are most likely to turn out disappointed for that. We see a map check from Vulajin. Looks like Swamp has Crystal 2. Pendant
Ice.
Green at Mire, Pendant Blue at Ice.
Yep. And a whole lot of nothing on pedestal. Just an arrow upgrade.
I mean, no, I was going to make a case for the arrow upgrade, but there really isn't one.
Big key at Bumper Cave.
I'll make a case for that. That one's good.
I mean, if you're really, really unsure of your Ganon fight and you need those arrows for the arrow upgrade, you might want it. We got a Crystal Pod, it looked like.
Yeah, it looked like Crystal 1 there.
Yep.
And Vulajin is going to check Graveyard Ledge, but go ahead, you had something to say.
With Ice Rod being that early, I feel like T-Rock is going to be a troll and be a pendant, but there's going to be something there anyway, because there's always something in T-Rock, especially when it's pendant T-Rock.
There is always something in T-Rock. Usually it's even something good.
Yeah, sometimes it's just disappointment. So, Spooty freezing those, get those, and mashing them with a hammer.
And we didn't see Vulajin do this back chest, did we?
Don't think so.
So just 5 rupees. He did not miss out by skipping there. As Vulajin finds his way around, he's going to collect that 8 bomb drop.
After fighting with some shrubbery for a little bit.
Now this is a neat trick, or a neat play from Vulajin. Rather than backtrack all the way to the village, I think he's realized this is the closest he's going to be to the catfish area for a long time. So he might as well clear that out now. And, you know, on the off chance it's 50 rupees, that Zora play is still available.
The Zora ledge is 50 rupees as well, so even if catfish ends up being non-monetary, he'll still be able to get Zora.
Oh, that's a great point. It's circuitous, but hey, it'll do the trick. You just have to not get hit too many times here.
Yep. Spooty grabbing the key out of the chest, that's always a key. And Senior Catfish.
Bomb upgrade? I'm guessing.
A key. A small key, too, Pod.
I think that's his 3rd key, or just his 2nd key for Pod. Either way, that'll come in handy, as I'm starting to get the feeling that's where this seed is going to push these runners sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it depends based on the runner, but after you get a certain amount of keys for Pod, you're just like, even without bow, might as well go check. More so if 1, you have the big key, and 2, you can do the hammer yoke. Vulajin needing to be very careful getting the 50 rupees and then coming back around.
He's at least aware of how dire his situation is here. I saw that little jog he did by the fireball to make sure he didn't take the hit.
Because the last thing he wants to do is make a 3rd trip up here. If he does feel like he's in danger, he does have the red potion from the hobo. So there's at least that. But you really don't want to use it here.
No, of all the places to use it, this feels like just a bit of a waste. Meanwhile, Spooty picked up that same heart container from the graveyard. Let's see if he goes the same way or if he heads back west to the village. We'll have to wait a few seconds to see, of course.
Big key. Big key 4. Thieves Town. So Zora, quite important today. Definitely worth 500 rupees for that.
Vulajin slashing at the air a bit in frustration, but I think only because it took so long, not over the actual prize he got. And Spooty's headed back to the village, so this could give Vulajin a bit of a leg up.
Oh yeah, grabbing that before going back for Thieves Town is huge. 7 containers, blue mail, and any kind of sword. All he really would want more for Thieves Town is the small key. But looks like he's going to do Death Mountain instead.
Yeah, an interesting play. I mean, he can get all the way up to Hera and into the first 2 chests there, but this will be a sequence break for him, and it may or may not actually work. As Spooty finds the GT Big Key in the Bombable Hut, or the brewery, as the spoiler log will call it. So that's a huge load off their shoulders.
The absolute worst is when the Ganon's Tower Big Key is your go mode item. Because the whole time, you're wondering who else has found it.
Has the other runner found it? Am I just missing something stupid? Has the other runner not found it, and did they gamble on Ganon's Tower? Is that where it is? Should I be going there ahead of them? Should I be beating them? These are questions they don't have to ask themselves. And I'm happy for them.
First chest for Thieves Town is a small key to T-Rock.
And just a big 20 on Spectacle Rock and 10 arrows inside, so nothing paying off up here for Vulajin. He's going to head into Tower of Hera and see if that works out.
Where Spooty would have the leg up doing what Vulajin is doing is that he has the book, so he'd be able to check and see what's on Ether Tablet, whereas Vulajin, we would have no idea.
Yeah, Spooty couldn't get the item, but getting the item, or not getting the item, doesn't really hurt. The main thing is figuring out if you need that.
Mm-hmm. Map. Vulajin's gonna pick it up. We'll see what it's for. Map of T-Rock.
Meanwhile, Spooty just found a compass down in Thieves Town and had to mirror out. Did we see him do the chest game?
Yes, I don't think it had anything important.
Okay, so he hasn't skipped that. And we'll see a nice South Dark World tour, not returning to the village without mitts. And of course, Vulajin has access to East Death Mountain, which apparently slipped my mind, but is a hugely great reason to come up here.
Mm-hmm. Dead Rocks being their usual selves, Big 20 on Floating Island, probably go to Spiral Cave and work his way around from there.
I'd like to amend my previous statement. There are dead rocks on East Death Mountain. You don't want to go there at all.
Acceptable.
Meanwhile, Spooty, hi!
Looks like 20 digs, give or take one, for the compass. Alright.
So that's a third pod key for Vulajin, making that play starting to look much better. And Spooty's now going to do that race game, which he skipped earlier. No, Spooty going in and out of houses. Spooty trying to fake me out.
Alright, Vulajin going in Paradox Cave through the other entrance. Has a mirror, so you could just mirror that block out of the way, finding 70 rupees in the Bomb 2 chests. We'll see what the top ones have for him.
You know, they say Paradox Cave is, of course, the new Hype Cave. This could work out well. I'm thinking maybe a pod big key soon. Something as an extra incentive to go there.
Shield upgrade, piece part, compass for swamp. Master sword, and piece part.
Well, the Master Sword isn't terrible, but otherwise a bit disappointing. I saw Spooty do a map check very quickly. I think we have a crystal of the non-5/6 variety on Thieves Town.
I think so, yeah. So, Vulajin has the T-Rock map, so we'll see what that is. So we need to know Skull Woods, we need to know T-Rock, and what else?
Desert and Hera, I think, are still out there for what could they be.
Okay.
And to answer a question in chat, map will, yes, tell you whether a pendant or a crystal is in that dungeon. It'll let you look at the map. You can't use the old standby of listening to the music in a dungeon because that's been randomized, because that's what we do here. We randomize things. But that map will prove useful unless it's for Hyrule Castle or Ganon's Tower, in which case the runners pick it up and go, yeah, I know where that is. Don't tell me where that is.
But how will they know if Ganon's Tower is a crystal or a pendant?
It's a trick question. It's an aghanim.
So Bombo's tablet only having a bomb upgrade, so that's not quite important. T-Rock is a 5/6 crystal, number 5 in particular.
That'll be good for Vulajin to know, and certainly makes that Ice Rod play they found a lot happier.
Yep. chess game just having a 5-arrow upgrade. We'll get to see what Hype Cave has. Compass for Eastern.
Zzz. Wait, a pod key, the boots, Hyrule Castle key, and the mitts? I started snoozing too early. Hype Cave was actually good tonight.
It happens occasionally. Vulajin finding their GT big key, probably very happy to find that.
Oh yeah, and I think between the two runners, that's now 4 keys for Palace of Darkness. Vulajin having 3, and Spooty just having picked up another one. So if Vulajin does the South Dark World, which I expect he'll do after Thieves Town, he's in a good position to go to pod.
Yeah. Spooty's still looking for a sword, too.
My hope for Spooty is that because he's in kind of the eastern area of the world, he's going to get this mirror, or the pyramid check, and then he's going to mirror and end up finding a sword.
Mm-hmm.
But he's low on health here. A death... Oh,
Ooh.
no! I'm sorry, Spooty. A death does change a lot of that.
Went to bonk the tree to get fairy out, but bonked right into that Cyclops. They still hurt even with blue mail.
Nothing in the Dark World is nice. Except for that little guy in the house who tells you things. He doesn't damage you. I like him.
Yeah, he's a pretty nice guy. Just wants to see explosions happen. I can respect that.
Alright, so Spooty is going to respawn at Link's house and give this right another try, not put the location off. I really respect this play. I like the idea of going back and not leaving that location orphaned.
Yeah, with the knowledge he has right now, that's not a bad play. He just really, really needs to get to either Eastern or Paradox Cave and get a sword. You know, the hammer's nice, but it's a bit unwieldy to use compared to your sword.
Meanwhile, Vulajin has cleaned out the first half of Thieves Town and gets to head into the back half, which we haven't seen before. 3 more chests, as well as a crystal back here. And a bottle for Spooty on the pyramid.
Nice to have. Possibly catfish into Zora here from Spooty.
That's what I'm seeing. I mean, he can get all the way to Zora. Unfortunately, he's going to pick up that Thieves Town big key and go, shoot! I was just there. I just cleaned out the front half. And, I mean, he'll need that eventually, but for his sake right now, I'd prefer he was going into Eastern. Or at least to Sahasrahla to get those flippers.
Worst case scenario for Spooty right now would be Fire Rod in Thieves Town. Because if I were him, I'd be thinking, okay, I don't really want to come back and check till I can, you know, clear out Skull Woods too.
That's a good point. There's a third pod key for Spooty, of course. And to answer a question in chat, that is correct. If you don't have a sword, you cannot item dash. Or you can get the animation, but it won't have any effect. So Spooty's hammer dashes don't work without a sword.
Yep. If you try to item dash the hammer pegs, you get bounced back and it laughs at you.
You bounce back and you get very confused until you realize you still don't have a sword 90 minutes into your seed, and so why, Philion, are you trying to knock these down like that?
Yep.
Completely made up story, never happened.
Heart container in blind cell as Spooty picks up their Thieves Town big key.
And Vulajin's going to head into the blind fight with about 6.5 hearts once he picks up that last heart by the boss room. 6.5 hearts, blue mail on blind. This shouldn't be a problem for him.
Yep. Big 20 in King's Tomb. phase 1 of Blind Down on Vulajin's side.
Not quite getting the scripted sequence, but keeping things nicely under control. And as Blind explodes here, I want to take a second to thank our tracker, Dragon Master, with the 0283 after his name, for clicking all those buttons, keeping that HUD at the bottom updated, and making sure that we know everything that's in the game. Like Spooty's red boomerang.
Yep. And Vulajin's shiny new crystal.
You know what? 40 minutes into a Keysanity seed for a crystal, that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Also, quick shout out to our restreamer tonight, DeathStar175, making sure we can all get a good view of this race.
Yeah, you know, they went through a lot of interesting design decisions with all the Death Stars they made. I'm happy that the 175th they made just focused on restreaming and not trying to blow up planets anymore. Appreciate that. I appreciate his work.
Don't worry, that functionality is coming back at 176.
No,
they
not
accidentally
again.
left it out. So Vulajin working through dig game, just gotta find a compass here. Spooty gonna go through Thieves Town without a sword, so we're probably gonna see a hammer blind fight. And without a sword, those skeletons don't care if you dash towards them.
So Vulajin's going to do this south area, get his boots, 4th pod key, mitts. Pretty soon after that, Spooty's going to finish up Thieves Town. Item-wise, these guys look a bit the same, but you know, Vulajin's been up Death Mountain, been to East Death Mountain. I feel like he's got the lead at this point.
It's always hard to say who has a lead in Keysanity at any given point, but Vulajin does definitely appear to be in a better position, if only by virtue of having a sword. You know, they're not too terribly hidden, but map of Thieves Town, or I know it's a crystal. Thank you, Old Stumpy, for that information.
I like this routing from Vulajin here. Manages to get that useless item from Stumpy at the same time as he picks up that book.
At this point, you consider just working your way down to desert from here.
Yeah, normally we see that save and quit right after Hype Cave, but he'll actually have somewhere to go.
Yeah. Or at the very least, he'll grab Bombos, the Bombos tablet, which is only a bomb upgrade, as Spooty saw earlier.
Well, looks like he's going straight towards the Bombos tablet. So he might be skipping on Hype Cave for a bit, or he might be skipping on Desert for a bit.
I would have gone to Hype Cave first, just because it's 5 items in, like, no time, then gone this way. But Desert, you know, you can get to Hype Cave fairly easy from a save and quit at this point. Save and quit, go down a little bit, you have the hammer, you're fine.
Yeah, it's not far out of the way. It's kind of like Spooty's Eastern at this point. I just hope Vulajin does it soon enough. Just like I hope Spooty heads to Sahasrarlan and Eastern to get those flippers and that sword, because at some point, not having those items is going to hurt these runners.
Yeah. Question is, after Hype Cave, Vulajin could see what's in ice.
Ice would be on the table. Pod with 4 keys is on the table, although, as we've mentioned, without that big key, it's less attractive.
Yeah. Still a lot of stuff in Pod. Spooty having a little bit of trouble with Hammer Blind, but takes them down with half a heart remaining. Gets their 3 bombs there, but more importantly, gets their first crystal. Vulajin coming up on his vanilla big key.
Now here's the weakness of Vulajin doing Desert right now, and he doesn't know it. But if he had gone to Hype Cave first, he could have gotten those boots, and he could get that small key off the torch.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't know that the boots were going to be right there, but ooh, that hurts a bit.
Yeah, he's probably not gonna be happy once he heads over there. I mean, you're still gonna be happy. You have boots.
Interestingly, Vulajin choosing to skip that left side chest in desert and go straight to a Gima's cave. Meanwhile, Spooty has a map to the Tower of Hera, and he's going to check it. There's crystal number 6.
So Hera and T-Rock are 5-6 today. A little surprised Vulajin decided to not go and check the big chest. You have the mirror, you can just mirror back out to go back to the starting point.
Yeah, we'll have to see where he goes next with that, although it does look like he's making that play on Hype Cave. Meanwhile, Spooty doing hammer pegs for us, still can't hammer dash without that sword. But we are going to see a smith check and probably a purple chest right after. There's a lamp.
Lamp. So there's first fire source. So that's pretty big.
That puts Hera and all of Death Mountain, including East Death Mountain, in the sequence. For Spooty, that's huge because he can do Dark Death Mountain. And he also has the ability, if he wants, to go into Desert again and take out Lanmo.
Big 20 at the Smiths, Vulajin finding his boots, couple keys, and at the end the mitts. So Spooty probably would head up to Death Mountain at this point after turning Purple Chest in, so he should be getting a sword shortly. Basically, no matter where he goes at this point, he's gonna find Fighter Sword, whether or not it's Death Mountain or Eastern.
That's right. And those certainly are the two most attractive plays from his spot, I think. Meanwhile, Vulajin just confirms what we know about crystals.
Half magic in the Purple Chest.
You know, of all the things to find in Purple Chest, that's not the worst.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you do the whole sequence, you're really hoping for progression so that it wasn't wasted time. But at least if you get half magic there, you can go, yeah, there was some value in doing that. Vulajin going straight up the pyramid is going to give us a castle tower check.
That half magic is actually super useful for Spooty because I'm assuming he's going to use Ice Rod on Lanmo here. So that gives him another 8 shots.
Yeah, that's 16 shots to get 6 hits. That's a lot more attractive than 8 for 6 hits.
Yep. First chest is 3 bombs. Yes, in chat, this does delay Eastern and Sarashua for Spooty a little bit, but at the same time, he doesn't need the stuff in there to finish out Desert. We don't know if this is important or not yet. He did check Pedestal. We know it's nothing important. Key for Pod from Vulajin. So...
Great dark room work there, by the way. That puts him at 5 keys. You know, if Vulajin can hammer jump, and for all I know he can, then he's kind of ready to do Pod once he finds the big key.
At this point, just being over here in Dark World, having that many keys, you go in.
Oh, absolutely you do.
Even at 3 keys, I feel like it's worth it to check Pod. Spooty trying to dash through the popos there, but still no sword. So they just kind of sit there and shrug and laugh. To see if he decides to pick up the mini magic refill that's in this room, or just go straight to Landmo with Ice Rod.
I'm gonna guess he goes straight in.
Yeah, plenty of shots, might as well.
Now, for all we know, this could still be a pendant, or it could be a crystal. Oh, that remains to be seen here.
He's gotta be
Spooty having
careful.
a bit of trouble with his shots.
Okay, that's 2 of the 3 down. Still has another couple shots left. Should be okay. I think he only needs 1 more, yeah.
And there we go. About a 3-cycle fight as both runners get a big 20 at the same time, and Spooty gets his second crystal of the race.
Okay, so Desert was worth it to slot in there. Could argue if Meyer ends up being completely useless, that going there now instead of going to Meyer and mirroring out was the better idea.
Perhaps. I think Spooty was probably hoping he could get that small key off the torch and find some value there. Unfortunately, when it's the Skullwood small key, that just doesn't work out.
Yeah. It helps your routing in Skullwoods a little bit, but doesn't give you any more items. It doesn't make things a whole lot easier. Flute in pod. So without the bow, can't really do much else down here, but you can go check a couple more chests up here if he so desires. Spooty bringing the old man home. Vulajin getting to another chest, got open up the sidewall there. Map of Eastern, which we don't have that info yet, so we'll be glad to see when he does a map check in Light World.
That's right. At this point, I think our last crystal is either Eastern or Skullwoods.
Yep, and whatever one isn't is the pendant, obviously. Not the important pendant, though.
Now that one's in Meyer, which, despite not having a big key for, Vulajin actually has access to now for 6 of those 8 chests.
Yep, if he finds the lamp soon. Kana Samaria.
Okay. I mean, that opens up Turtle Rock if Vulajin finds himself on Death Mountain anytime soon.
Yeah. Harmless Hellweight. I think he was taking stock of his keys there. 10 arrows.
Take stock of those keys, realize, yeah, if I want to still have enough to beat Helmasaur, I'm gonna need to yump here.
Yep.
So Spooty just gave us a check on the Ether Tablet, and that was powder. You can turn anti-fairies into fairies.
First try hammering up. Vulajin doesn't have the big key, so he won't be able to check this chest, but he certainly has 2 chests in the Dark Maze to check, and it will be dark because he doesn't have the lamp.
So the other thing that happened in the first dark room Vulajin went through was he picked up the Tempered Sword, and big shoutouts to our tracker for pointing that out.
Yeah.
It doesn't show up very visibly until he starts swinging, but hey, that's a level 3 sword for Vulajin.
And the Elder Aga Tower key.
Well, you know, with the boots, if he's up for the climb, he could, in theory, go all the way up that tower and get whatever small key is in the Lumberjack Cave. Probably not a worthwhile endeavor right now, since so many small keys might be useless.
Yep. Big key for ice, which opens up a single chest. Don't need it to fight the boss, technically, if you know how to do the bomb jumps and such properly.
To answer a question in chat, in Keysanity, the value in picking up a map is that you get to see whether that dungeon is holding a crystal or a pendant when you beat it. So it'll give you some advanced knowledge into what you actually have to do to win the game. Worth picking up if they're right nearby, but runners typically won't go too far out of their way for them, just because the knowledge isn't that useful.
Spiral Cave providing a small key for Pod to Spooty. King's Tomb providing a big 20 to Vulajin. Yeah, generally, if you find a map in a chest, cool. You know, it's extra knowledge. If it's on a lumberjack ledge, you're not going out your way to get it.
Oh no, Spooty! Spooty! The dead rocks have got you.
Oh. Luckily,
That's a tough fall to take.
Yeah. Luckily, he does have the save and quit point at the mountain cave there, so not too much time lost, but that's still...
Yeah, you know, with the hookshot, that's one thing. Without the hookshot, he has to route up and over the mountain again.
Yeah.
And he was so close to a sword, too. I feel like the game is just saying, nope, Spooty doesn't quite get that sword yet.
Nope, you're supposed to get it from Eastern, go there first. Quake from Sickit on Vulajin's side. Spooty did a map check, but I don't think it provided us any new info.
I don't believe so.
If Vulajin does a Light World map check, we'll be able to get our last bit of information on crystals and pendants.
You hear that, Vulajin? Do a map check, please.
As he releases the duck from its prison. See where he decides to go from here. Looks like we'll get a Meyer check.
We'll get a Meyer check. We might even see him do a good chunk of Meyer. Although he doesn't have that lantern, so he can't do left side.
Looked like it was Quake. We'll probably get a desert clear out here too. I can't imagine he wouldn't do that.
Not when you're right in the area.
A key for Eastern and arrow upgrade.
Meanwhile, Spooty, making his way through Paradox Cave, gets that shield. And there is his fighter sword, almost an hour into the race, slashing at the chest. He knows he's been missing that for a while.
300 rupees in Checkerboard Cave. Before the race, Vulajin and I were talking a bit. He had some choice words for that Checkerboard Cave, so I'm not surprised he went in and checked that as soon as he could.
And now it looks like he's going to go to Ice Palace. It is a pendant today, though I'm not sure if he knows that. But now that he's got that big key, he can clear it out.
Yep, no fire rod, so has to use Bombos a whole lot, so...
Get used to this cutscene.
Yeah, basically.
Super Money Cave. Was that the Thieves Town big key?
Thieves Town small key and fire rod.
Oh. What a place to find fire rod for Spooty. Lets him clear out Skull Woods.
Yeah.
I want to say he should go do Turtle Rock, but unfortunately he doesn't have that Samaria cane now.
Key for Skull Woods in the first chest in ice.
And that was Bombo's medallion for entering Turtle Rock. So, 2 medallions for our runners, both required. Getting into dungeons will not be a headache.
Yep. Ether, we don't know where it is. We don't care where it is. Small key to Meyer in the chest you can bonk to in hookshot. No hookshot, can't finish the rest of it.
And Spooty is going to head over to Eastern Death Mountain, or regular Death Mountain. Have we seen him clear out Hera?
Don't believe so.
Maybe we have. We must have, because he wouldn't walk away from that. We are going to see Spike Cave now.
Okay. It's a fairy, gets a couple hearts health back there.
Vulajin not setting up the Ice Palace bomb jump, but I think he's actually got enough stuff, enough keys coming in, that it won't help him finish the dungeon if he uses that.
Yeah, he's got 2 small keys. He's got the big key, I believe. Yeah. Plus, Kane, he doesn't need to.
Precisely. And Spooty just finds a heart container, or sorry, a piece of heart in Spike Cave.
So far, the seed hasn't been horribly trolly, I feel like.
No, it's
been guiding pretty well.
Yeah, it's been slowly doling out items to the runners, just kind of saying, here's a thing, not giving any huge signals of you must go here now to progress, but still giving them lots of options.
Yeah.
And Spooty's going to capitalize on that fire rod, it looks like. Go clear out Mothula as soon as he can. We are going to find out if that is the last crystal, or if that's just a pendant.
Yep. Normally you'd be semi-wary of Mothula with Fighter Sword, but he has half magic. So that's pretty big. Vulajin pulling off the glitch where the pot doesn't disappear off the button.
And I don't think we've seen any real value out of Ice Palace for him just yet.
Not yet. Heart container, semi-useful I guess, but not really progression. See if Big Chest has anything. Small key to GT.
Oh no! I mean, it's not bad, but certainly not what you're going for when you're diving this much of a dungeon.
Yeah.
He still has 2 locations left. The other thing to consider is Vulajin hasn't done a pet check. I don't think.
Right. He got the book and he hasn't been up that way since.
Right, Spooty had the early book, so he found out it's an arrow upgrade on the pedestal. So that's kind of too bad for Vulajin that he might be clearing this out in the hopes that finishing it is worth it in the end.
Map of Skull Woods. Which we're gonna find that out shortly.
Yeah, even that map won't give us too much knowledge. As Spooty just takes pot shots with the fire rod, I think he needs 8 total to finish this moth off.
Yep, 8 hits. Being quite nice, hovering around the bottom for a good chunk of this fight. Still gotta be a little bit careful, though.
Ooh, taking a few spike hits, but there it is. Spooty takes down Mothula, gets big 20 for the troubles, and a 3rd crystal so far.
So that means Eastern is the red pendant. Which means unless there's something real important on Cold Stare, Ice is a complete bust.
Oh, and this could hurt Vulajin. It's probably about 5 or 6 minutes he spends here almost, clearing the whole thing out, and that's a lot of time to be spending not getting any stuff when your opponent's actually picking up crystals. I don't blame him for making this play. It looked like a good idea, but ooh, does it hurt.
3rd bottle for Spooty with some green goo in it. With half magic, slightly less important, but might be useful later on. Vulajin without that fire rod has to take swings at Gold Stare.
Getting very low on health here. He does have that red potion. Okay. Okay, he's not going to scare me too badly.
And of course, now that I used the potion, he won't take any more hits.
Oh, that is absolutely 100% the way the fights go.
Well, he took 1 heart of health. He took 1 heart damage, so it wouldn't have killed him. And a heart container. So basically, Ice is completely worthless.
I mean, 2 full heart containers. So it wasn't a complete bust. It was just mostly a bust. Certainly, I wouldn't, given the choice at this point, if I were Vulajin, I would take that time back in favor of losing the heart containers, but...
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Spooty finally made his way over to the eastern area, so we're going to see a Sahasrahla check, and hopefully an eastern check, and definitely a pod check. So Spooty's going to come out of this with Tempered Sword as well.
Yeah. He has Lamp, so he doesn't have to worry about getting around the dark rooms.
Meanwhile, on Vulajin's side, we've seen that Swamp Small Key. We've got the Mirror, the Flippers, the Hookshot, or the Hammer, I'm sorry. He's going to go into Swamp Palace.
I always like the Swamp Palace play. If you're good to Swamp, Swamp is good to you.
No Hookshot. That is risky.
A little bit. But at this point, I feel like he feels the risk is worth the reward. Or the reward would be worth the risk, or however that goes.
At this point, Vulajin thinks this is a good play for him to make, and it's
it
the
is.
bow!
It is! Bow in first chest in Swamp. Beautiful.
I'm not sure where we settled on that risk-reward statement, but that was correct, I'm willing to say.
Oh, absolutely. And a big key to T-Rock. Even coming in here without a hammer would have been perfectly acceptable. But now that he has hammer, can check more of it.
Yeah, and at the very least, you know, he spent all the time opening it for a great reward. If he clears out left side, then when he comes back in later, he can just go mode this whole thing.
Yeah.
Of course, the other side to that is, once he finds the Eastern Big Key, once he finds the Pod Big Key, he can go and clear out those dungeons very quickly as well.
It looks like he does have the Eastern Key.
He does, yes.
So, oh, it's pendant though, and I don't know if he knows it's pendant. He may not do a head check at all. He may go to Eastern, grab a pendant, and then be like, okay, screw it, I'm doing Meyer at some point, and then blind pull, which based on what
things have happened.
Cape. So now Vulajin can grab the big key that's on Bumper Cave Ledge.
So is that already 3 items required that have been in the front half of Swamp?
Unless
calling the Bumper Cave item potentially required.
Yeah. Yeah, if that big key is for Meyer, and Meyer ends up not being needed, then dubiously required. Oh, that's... Again, that brings me back to my point, though, that Vulajin could just decide to go for pendants, not check pedestal, and hope it's something. So that's...
That's a direction this could send him in, for certain. At this point, I'm looking at what he's got. He's only got the 1 key for Turtle Rock, but I still feel like at some point he needs to go back to Eastern Death Mountain, go into the Dark World, get his Fire Rod, and start dipping Turtle Rock with that cane. The cane that Spooty just picked up.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people don't like doing Fire Rod Room in TR without the hookshot, but sometimes you just gotta deal with it. But we still could see hookshot in one of these couple of chests in Swamp, so who knows.
Absolutely, we could. 2 more possibilities for Vulajin before he has to get out of here. And Spooty finally making his way through Eastern Palace. We are going to see that 3rd sword come out for him.
Okay, apparently Vulajin doesn't have the Eastern Palace big keys, so...
I'm certain one of our runners picked it up at some point.
I mean, point still stands. If that's the one that's on Bumper Cave, it could still lead him towards getting a pendant that he otherwise wouldn't need.
Speaking of big keys, there's Skull Woods.
I was gonna scream if that was the Eastern key. So that opens...
I would be very confused if that was the Eastern key.
So that opens up a single chest in Skull Woods, does not open the boss. He still needs to get the Fire Rod out of Super Bunny Cave to be able to fight Mothula.
And just looking at his tracker, or sorry, his menu, Vulajin does have the Eastern Big Key.
He does
And
already.
it looks like he's headed up Death Mountain again. Now here's a great thing that he's going to get. As he goes up here, he's hopefully going to check that ether tablet and get the powder.
Yeah.
Probably not a useful item in terms of progression, but I just look at kind of the damage both these runners have been taking. Although they are at 12 hearts now, it's a bit of a nasty seed at times, and getting those extra hearts might prove useful.
Yep. Just a couple chances it offers to heal in the GT climb is perfectly enough reason to grab powder, I feel like.
Yeah, now fortunately Spooty knows it's there. If he has any doubts about whether or not he needs the powder, he can just go pick it up.
Yep. So Vulajin working his way over to T-Rock. We'll see if he dives right in or if he's got to check Super Bunny Cave.
Meanwhile, Spooty going to activate that flute that he picked up in the Palace of Darkness.
Very animal-related things on both players' screens right now. Turtle versus duck. Place your bets now.
Turtle.
Looks like Vulajin will go check Super Bunny Cave and probably first chest and hook shot.
So at this point, hour and 12 in, I feel like these runners are basically equivalent in what they've covered. They're in two very different spots, and they've taken very different routes to get there. But aside from the Swamp Palace play Vulajin made, against some of the Swamp Palace desert stuff, these runners have mostly checked the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how long it takes Spooty to check Swamp, but the Ice Palace play is what's going to cost Vulajin, if anything, right now.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I had forgotten that Vulajin cleared out Ice, and you're right. There was nothing there. Death Star, our fantastic restreamer, pointing out that the Eastern Palace key was in Swamp. Or, I'm sorry, the Mire Shed.
Okay. So Spooty going into Green Pendant Mire.
Interestingly, Vulajin going left away from Turtle Rock here. After maybe an accidental bombos, he's going to get a piece of heart from Spike Cave and not dip into Turtle Rock at the start.
I mean, you can't fault anybody for going into Spike Cave, but I don't know. With T-Rock available, granted you don't really have a ton of keys for it, I guess, but I don't know.
I do want to see what Spooty finds in Misery Mire, because that's seeming like a great place to be, especially when you've got a fire source and you can do the left side.
Yep.
And I think that's what stopped Vulajin the first time he came here, was he didn't have lamp or fire rod, so these two chests were close to him.
Small key for T-Rock.
Speaking of T-Rock,
Looks like Vulajin will be going back to Skull Woods. Seeing Eastern is a pendant, so that probably makes it a lot less appealing to him, but we'll see.
I thought Vulajin was messing with you there, or faking you out by not actually going to Skull Woods, but he is doing that play. And we might see a ped check from him here after he cleans up the moth. For his sake, I hope we do.
Yeah, it would be quite unfortunate if he just expects there to be something there and goes and finishes Eastern. Though, granted, there could be something past Armos, we don't know yet.
Well, there's the Swamp Big Key over in Mire. Only opens that one big chest. But it might point Spooty in the direction of Mire, which is definitely where he's... Or, I'm sorry, Swamp, which is definitely where he's going to need to go soon.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so just so much good stuff in those first couple chests. And for all we know, it could be vanilla hookshot.
Oh, let's not be too mean to these runners.
Look, they already found fire and ice rod. Neither one of those is in the vanilla big key chest into your rock. And there's Ether, completely useless medallion.
Spooty, dangerously low on health here. In fact, so low he can't pick up that one chest on the spikes as it is. But he's going to be able to get the one at the back.
₹50 up there. And he's wishing he had powder.
Oh, absolutely he is at this point. And Vulajin's going to fight Moth in a very different way than we saw Spooty do it. Spooty came here with half magic and Fighter's Sword. Vulajin's coming in with no magic and Tempered Sword.
Yep.
Only needing 4 hits with the Tempered Sword, I'd pick this fight a lot of the time.
Mothula not behaving, hiding amongst the spikes, but Vulajin finally takes him down. Get his big 20, more importantly, getting his crystal.
On the other side of the world, SpootyBiscuit found a fairy, opened a chest, and got a big 20.
Looked like Spooty was possibly gonna make the play on Swamp, but changing their mind.
This looks like another castle tower play. Spooty couldn't do this until very recently because he was running around with Fighter's Sword. And I think we did see some progression up in this tower, didn't we? Maybe a pod key?
I think there was something up here.
Meanwhile, Vulajin giving us the ped check, telling us what we already know. If you want to carry more arrows, look in another chest rather than clearing out all your pendant dungeons.
Yeah. So Spooty's probably gonna beat Aga here, which means we'll get to see what that small key on Lumberjack Ledge is. I don't see any reason why you would peace out after just grabbing these 2 chests.
Not when you're already halfway up the tower and you've got that first, or that second small key.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if that bumper key, or that lumberjack key, isn't any good. Spooty's just losing time here like Vulajin lost in Ice Palace. If that's a critical key, then Spooty's making up tons of time here.
Oh yeah. Well, what keys are we looking for left? We got the Tower of Hera small key.
More Turtle Rock keys would always be nice for these runners.
Yep. We're still missing 2 of them.
Logic would say they need another small key to complete the Palace of Darkness.
We don't listen to logic here. We play Keysanity.
Oh, that's
finding
entirely
his
correct.
lamp.
We could also see something like a Skull Woods or a Misery Mire small key still.
Yep.
I guess we're out of Mire keys, but a Small Woods key that logic says you should have, but again, these runners won't need. So, ooh, odds are dwindling, but I'm hoping for that Turtle Rock key up there.
Yeah. Plus, there's the big key on Bumper Cave Ledge. Still don't know what that is yet. Can't be too many things. Just Hera or Pod, I believe.
Either Hera or Pod, both useful. Both required, in fact, as Vulajin picks up a 4th bottle from the bat.
Four bottles, not a whole lot of money to fill them with, though.
Vulajin may not need to fill his bottles after this. He's going to get that half magic from Purple Chest.
Not progression, still very nice to have, though you may wish he had it before doing both Ice and Skull Woods, but oh well. Still nice for Turtle Rock.
Meanwhile, Spooty just trounced Aghanim, and I'm not sure if there were any blue balls. If there were, it was only 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's a quite clean fight.
And chat confirming, that was a 0 blue balls fight, so good on Spooty for, well, fighting through that fight successfully, because he has no control over what Aghanim does.
Yep. Looks like Vulajin will be going up to Bumper Cave, as Spooty is going to check Lumberjack. So we'll get 2 keys. And I don't know if Spooty's actually checked to see what Bumper Cave is, so...
We did see him do Graveyard Ledge, so I expect he dropped by there at some point to check it out.
Okay.
And that small key is for Turtle Rock. Interesting. Required by the logic, but if you're in a good enough position, you can skip that big key chest. Not required at all.
Yeah. I mean, the only... Based on what big key is here, I'm not sure what else important could be in that chest, honestly. Big key of Hera.
Well, the big thing that I look at these trackers and I see missing, neither of these runners has hookshot. We haven't seen that come up. And that one could still be hiding in Turtle Rock, in that lava room. And if that's required, Spooty just made a big gain in time.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if he goes and checks that chest with the benefit of the extra key, and it's not something useful, he's just kind of sunk a bunch of time into that Aga Tower climb. I think the only thing we can do at this point is sit back and wait. Spooty not picking up the powder, even though he's running right by it.
Might feels like he might feel like he's behind. Doesn't have the time for it.
If you're feeling behind, you do start playing a bit faster, taking more gambles. I just hope that doesn't come back to hurt him. He might be making the play straight into Turtle Rock here.
That's what it looks like after finding that key. Plus, he didn't go for the fairy and the bunkable rocks.
That's right. Now, here's the trouble for Spooty. He doesn't have the big key for Turtle Rock either.
Yep.
Where did we see that one come out of? Was that one in Swamp Palace?
I think it was Swamp. So Vulajin setting up for the Hera bomb jump, gets it with the boots, gets 300 rupees, so some potion money.
Yeah, and obviously this tower climb is something he has to do at some point for a crystal to win the game. Just not giving him anything else yet. Spooty with the health refill from the chest.
That's very useful at that point.
Yeah, he was getting a bit low, and now he's all the way up. Moldorm going down in seconds from Vulajin, giving only $1 single for the trouble. Into Crystal.
I mean, that single rupee is obviously the most important thing there. So, can't check basement, no small key. So that's still hanging out around somewhere.
Looks like Vulajin is going to go down into the mire area. Meanwhile, Spooty opened 2 chests on the right side in T-Rock and found $20 and a compass. Nothing yet there.
Yep, not quite anything important.
And I spoke too soon about Vulajin. He is going to go back into desert, open that big chest, and then probably go kill land molas as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a 3rd shield upgrade for SpootyBiscuit.
Small key for Mire, and big chest in desert. So that, mirror shield makes the laser bridge a lot easier.
Yeah, you know, he has boots, and I'm fairly certain he could do the laser skips if he wanted to, but I don't think he'll turn down the option to just plow face first through those lasers
Oh yeah.
and not get hit.
Electing to take the key and check that chest.
Oh, this could be big. It's a key for the dungeon. What?
That's beautiful.
So
that's great.
That means, if I understand this right, that key was entirely inconsequential.
Yep.
The Aga Tower trip, in fact, had
no value whatsoever.
The great news is, the fantastic news for SpootyBiscuit is that didn't lead him somewhere he wasn't supposed to go.
Yeah.
My worry for him was that was going to lose him a key, in addition to the time, and at least it's not down the key.
The good news is Vulajin isn't going to yell at us after this. So, what's in Mimic Cave? Vulajin taking down Landmo, getting his crystal from the fight.
And just a heart container from the Mimic party. A full heart container. 4 times better than vanilla.
Mirror bonk on Vulajin's side. Stood in the portal just a little bit too far left. Not too happy, slashing a bit, but going back through it. So we'll see him dive into Mire. No big key, so won't be able to finish this, but still don't know if that green pendant turn-in is important yet.
Now, hang on, did we think this through correctly? Regarding Turtle Rock keys? Because if opening that door to the vanilla big key chest is completely key neutral, then it doesn't matter whether you open it or not, you're progressing from that point with the same number of keys.
Right.
So, in fact, Aga's required, because you need that Aga key to make it through, because stealing a key doesn't help you. Stealing a key doesn't give you an edge over anywhere else. So Spooty didn't hurt himself by opening that final door, or that
Right.
middle of the dungeon door. He didn't hurt himself because he couldn't hurt himself with it. He just also had nothing to gain, and in fact, beating Aga Tower, I think, is required to get enough keys to get through this whole game.
I think you're right.
So that puts Spooty at a pretty big lead here.
Yeah.
Because Vulajin's probably, going to clear out the rest of the world before he wants to go up Aga Tower. And I don't blame him for that. When you're climbing Aga Tower, you're spending 4 minutes for one item, and no one wants to do that.
And he's already checked the 2 chest locations.
Precisely. The good news for Vulajin, the bad news for Spooty is Spooty's going into Ice Palace now.
Oof.
Spooty's going into Ice Palace when I think at this point he needs to be going into Swamp. Get that bow, get that cape.
Yeah. He may decide to only check the first item, but he may full clear it, and there's nothing down here. A couple heart containers, but there's no progression. No hookshot makes this disappearing room just that much harder.
Yeah. Now, as these runners are running through things each has done already, and since Spooty just found a key in Swamp, I am going to remind everyone watching that, technically that Swamp small key is required for progression. Swamp Palace, or Skull Woods. Skull Woods is that weird dungeon where you can get through to the end if you know what you're doing without any external keys, but the logic accounts for you being as dumb as possible and opening every door you're not supposed to. So the logic wants you to pick up 3 keys before defeating Mothula, and so Spooty's picking up progression, as long as you put massive air quotes around that.
Mm-hmm. Vulajin getting that completely useless ether medallion. Spooty setting up for the bomb jump. Vulajin mirroring out. We'll see where he decides to go after this.
Man, it looks like he's going to make the play on Eastern. 2 more locations he can get here, now that he's got the bow and the big key.
Yep. Big chest and the boss.
So we might see the next progression in here, but we might see Vulajin have to go back into Swamp Palace and open that big chest for something.
So really we're looking for hookshot, we're looking for pod, big key, wherever that may be.
And I think that's about it.
That's it.
They've got the Ganon's Tower big key. They've got plenty of small keys for Ganon's Tower, even though they won't need those.
Yep.
We are on a hunt for the hookshot and the pod big key. And then these runners are going to be in go mode.
There's small key for Hera.
Oh, let's hope that isn't blocking one of those items.
I mean, you need to go back up Death Mountain anyway at this point. It's not the worst check you can make. It's just kind of boring. Everybody loves tile rooms. It would just be kind of mean if the pod big key ended up being behind Armos, because then Vulajin would have to go all the way back to a dark portal, fly to 5, and then have to work his way back to the same dungeon entrance that he just left.
Well, that'd be nasty, but at least he'd be progressing.
Yeah.
The other question is, where can Vulajin pick up some more Turtle Rock keys? And are we going to see him dip into Turtle Rock once before he goes back?
There's Hookshot.
Well, I think that takes Turtle Rock off the table for the moment. I'd be very surprised if Vulajin did anything, but go clear out Swamp with that.
Yeah. But after Swamp, he may think, okay, I have Hookshot, let me head back up to T-Rock, Hookshot Cave.
I mean, that is an attractive option, certainly more attractive than trying to do Aga Tower.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Spooty's made his way through the dungeon, of course, hasn't really come up with any items, but he's going to take out Cold Stare pretty quickly here. Knocking him into the corner, and then just going crazy on that Fire Rod.
Very
and
nice
that's the fight. That's the fight right there.
Yeah, if you get him into the corner with Tempered Dev Fire, it's kind of a joke. You still have to watch for the falling ice ball things, but it's a lot. Go ahead.
Oh, just you know how earlier we said no one likes to go into Swamp Palace without Hookshot?
Yeah.
Today, you had to.
You had to.
You had to go in there to get that bow so you could come back out, kill Armos, and get the Hookshot.
Yep.
So I was going to say it might be a while before Spooty cracks and decides to go there, but I think he's headed there now.
Yep, he'll get a bow, he'll get cape. What was the other thing at the start? T-Rock Big Key?
I believe so. And of course, that cape turns into the Hera Big Key.
Yep.
So SpootyBiscuit, once he finishes up here, is just going to need Hookshot, which we know is at Armos, and the pod key for Go Mode.
Yeah, wherever that pod key may end up being.
Which is a fantastic position for him to be in, because Vulajin still has to go and find the other Turtle Rock small key.
Yep.
So, depending on where that stuff turns up and when Spooty decides to go and clean out Armos, Vulajin could make up some time. This is still anyone's game. It'll just, of course, come down to what crazy gamble one of them makes.
Yeah.
Or, as we call it, Keysanity.
Yep. Can't really tell who's in the lead because there's way too many variables. Bomb upgrade and a compass to T-Rock. So when Vulajin does go to T-Rock now, and if he decides to skip that chest, that number is going to haunt him at the top of the screen. Unless he's in Go mode, in which case he won't care at that point.
Well, depends. I think he'll do the Hera basement before he heads into T-Rock. And if that gives the pod key, he'll be in Go mode. If not, we might see him open that chest anyways, and then breathe a sigh of relief as he finds out he gets his key back.
So both our players in Swamp, different parts of Swamp, will be able to do different parts of Swamp because Spooty's still looking for the hook shot. As Vulajin takes down Argus and gets a piece of heart.
So I guess the other question is, we just kind of laid out Spooty's path that he has to take. If you're Vulajin at this point, You have to go up Aga Tower. Where else can you go?
Yeah. With that Hera key, it's probably gonna lead him that way. Unless he thinks maybe he should get that out of the way now. No, he's going up to do Hera. Because how many Meyer keys have they found? 2? He's probably hoping that's just a Meyer key on a Lumberjack ledge, when no, it's a T-Rock key and you need it.
Well, how many small keys are there in Meyer? Aren't there only 2?
I thought it was 3. Maybe it's 2. Either way, he needs to go up Aga Tower. He needs that key.
Oh, you're correct. It is definitely 3. So he might be banking on that, which could lead him away.
Yeah. Looks like he'll be checking hookshot. First chest is a small key to pod. A map to desert.
Well, it's too bad that small key for pod is useless to him since he hammer yumped earlier.
Yep. And a small key to Meyer, so there's the 3rd small key. So if he's keeping track of what keys he's found, he may realize he really needs to go to Aga.
He may just do that. Meanwhile, Spooty back up on the mountain gets blocked by a dead rock because that's what they do. He reloads the screen. Does he have that Hera big key now? No? I'm not sure what he's headed up here for. Oh, of course.
Powder?
He picked up the powder earlier. He's got the big key for Turtle Rock. So he can head straight through.
Yeah.
And our great tracker, Dragon Master, pointing out that actually, if you count up all of Vulajin's keys, he has all the keys except 2 Turtle Rock keys. So he knows that one on the ledge has to be a Turtle Rock key. Now, he might be counting on finding the other one somewhere else, but at some point he might just break down and, go up the tower just because he knows that's a T-Rock key.
Mm-hmm.
And that does, of course, as chat points out, hinge on him counting correctly and deducing all that information, but, well, Forerunners can't do that. Keysanity is going to be a challenge for them.
Yeah, it is. It's nice to have a tracker that tells you when you've hit the maximum number of keys. Such as the wonderful emo tracker.
Amusingly, both runners in the same area of Turtle Rock, and since Spooty's already cleared Chomp Room, these two are going to be high-fiving as they go down the stairs.
Sync in spirit.
Vulajin, just slow down for about 1 second so you two can be completely in sync, please.
It's like deja vu all over again.
Spooty, fortunately, breaking the sync as he realizes I don't have to go south. I've been there.
So let's see what Vulajin does here.
Makes a little swipe towards that door going, hey, I know there's something there. I don't care what it is. I don't want to know. Spooty gets the butter sword. And Vulajin's going to be able to make it all the way down to the laser bridge, but not advance to Trinex. Whereas Spooty, still searching for the pod key, is going to do some sweet bonking strats over that roller.
Very nice.
I want to go do that myself now.
We'll see if Podkey ends up being on Laser Bridge, I guess. Because that's possible.
Yeah, at this point, we're really starting to run out of spots it can be.
Yeah.
I guess the only other spot I can think of is somewhere in Misery Mire. But for that, at this point, we need the Mire big key.
Yep, Meyer or the Green Pendant turn-in. So first chest on Laser Bridge, just a piece of art. Second chest on Laser Bridge, just a piece of art. A single green rupee. And a big 20. Wow.
I am underwhelmed by you today, Laser Bridge.
You think for a room that's doing its best to kill you, as well as Laser Bridge does, there'd be something more there. Than, you know, half a heart container and 21 rupees. So Spooty working towards Trinex with Butter Sword, half magic. They'll go down without problem. Vulajin's going to go Laser Bridge, not find the key he is looking for. Either one of them. 21 rupees and half a heart container, though. So phase 1 of Trinex down. And 3 hits on phase 2 with Butter Sword. That is fight complete. Spooty will get a big 20.
Ooh.
And one of the 5/6 crystals.
So, there is one other location that between the two runners they have access to, but neither one can do it right now.
Yeah.
We might be seeing something at the Pyramid Ferry.
It's quite possible.
Where was that Hera key?
I'm trying to remember. Vulajin grabbing the fairy out the bunkable rocks there, getting a health refill. Probably.
It looks like he's... you were about to say it, so go ahead.
Yeah, he's about to check Hera basement.
Meanwhile, Spooty going to use that big key for Swamp, taking the back entrance so he doesn't have to bomb jump. And big key for Skull. Skull and Swamp, 2 5-letter S words that just confuse me.
And the big keys are worthless except for a single chest in each.
Chat reminding us that Hera big key was on Bumper Cave, which Spooty only recently got access to.
Yeah.
He might be headed there right now for all we know.
That would be the thing to do after doing the big chest in Skull Woods. So after all these tiles are cleared out, door opens. Vulajin will be able to see what treasure lies within. Spooty gonna grab his Hera key. Will probably be following Vulajin up to that dungeon very shortly.
And just a big 300 for Vulajin. 300 rupees. Not gonna cut it at this point. He needs progression.
Unless
he needs Ega Tower.
Yeah. So there's the Hera Big Heat. Vulajin probably going to go check the big chest in Skullwoods himself. Spooty going to Dark Town. We'll see what he decides to end up doing here. Thieves Town Big Chest. Did get the small key somewhere, so he will be going to check that. There have been times that that location's been kind of trolly to some people, so I don't blame him for wanting to go look there. He's in the vicinity anyway, might as well. Vulajin trying to set up for the bomb jump. A little bit of trouble with it. It's kind of tricky a setup sometimes. So both these players having to go into dungeons that they've otherwise cleared just to get the single big chest within.
And I mean, I don't blame them for doing that. It's just a bit frustrating for both of them at this point.
Yeah.
But what else are you going to do if you're Spooty? Go into the other dungeon you dipped but didn't clear out, Eastern Palace? Like, kind of all the options look bad at this point.
Yeah.
Although, Vulajin, turning north, he's going up Aga Tower.
So this will lead Vulajin back to T-Rock. He'll probably clear that out. Spooty needs to go up to Hera. We'll see if that's where he ends up going. And it looks like he is.
So this will be good for Spooty. You know, this is a clear-cut path that he can do. And he's doing it before he has the small key, so he won't get stuck in the basement. It just doesn't send him to Eastern.
Yeah. He's got to do it anyway, but he really needs that hook shot off of Armos. But who wants to go do Pendant Eastern when, you know, Pedestal is an arrow upgrade?
Well, and the other thing here is, you know, he's cleared out T-Rock. He's got the Hera Big Key. He knows where crystals 5 and 6 are.
Right.
So this isn't just completing a crystal for him. This is opening up the Pyramid Ferry.
Yeah,
and
this is 2 locations.
I think based on what we've seen between the 2 runners, you know, that pod Big Key is kind of getting narrowed down to being at that Pyramid Ferry. He doesn't know it, but he certainly would rather gamble that than go back into Eastern Palace.
Oh, absolutely. Just so happens that Eastern is a required part of this puzzle. But he doesn't know that yet.
Absolutely. So Vulajin making fairly good time up the tower here. Of course, what you learn as you play this game more and more as a speedrunner is most of these enemies you don't even have to kill. You can just run by them in the correct pattern.
Yep. So Spooty getting his 300 out of the Hera Big Chest. Vulajin making his way up to the Aga 1 fight.
So you know what the other spot we haven't seen either runner check for the pod Big Key is?
What's that?
Right side pod.
Yeah, nobody's gone back in with the bow and
And I don't blame them for that, because you don't want to go into right side pod just for those chests, if that's all there is to do in the dungeon without the Big Key. But ooh, that could be the spot for it. And again, that's just one of a series of bad choices that they have to pick the least terrible option from.
Oh yeah. So 4 hits on Aga 1 from Vulajin. Gotta get his next 2 shortly.
Fortunately, we know for Vulajin, this is an easy, quick Ganon fight.
Yep.
With no blue balls if you do it correctly. And look at that.
So he'll mirror out, he'll save and quit, he'll go grab his TR key and probably go straight there.
Meanwhile, Spooty has fluted to 4, has gone to the bomb hut. He's going to give us that pyramid check that, for all we know, could have that last piece of the puzzle between the two runners.
Yep. Since you've defeated Aga 1 at this point, you could just mirror up here, take the bridge across, take the portal to Dark World that's at the front of the castle, and it's an easy path to using that bomb.
So the contents of the pyramid here are really going to decide how Spooty proceeds.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets a Meyer big key, he could be going that way. If he gets a Pod big key, we could see him go back to Pod and then clear out Eastern for the hookshot. He gets neither.
You get a Sankar and a 5-arrow upgrade. Good day, sir. So where is this Pod key then?
I'm starting to think the Pod big key is on or blocked by the right side of Pod.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, which I think it is, Spooty just got a huge boost by not finding any big keys in the pyramid, because now the most attractive location for him is Eastern, and that's where he's headed.
I feel like he should have taken the Dark Portal there and checked Pod before Eastern.
Just to do that right side clear?
Just to do the...
You know, I'd agree. We might just be influenced by what we know, but I feel like being able to check both these dungeons in quick succession, even if it's only 2 chests on the right side, that's got to be better.
Yeah, than just coming up here without a... and having to go back if you want to check Pod too. Like, even if you only drop the portal and go into Eastern first, that's fine.
Yeah. Now, fortunately for Spooty, this is going to work out fine for him, because he has to do this Eastern play, and he has to go back into Swamp anyways. And he's cleared out all of Swamp except for the Go Mode path, so he's not losing too much time there.
Yep, we'll see what Spooty decides to do after clearing Armos and getting his hookshot.
Meanwhile, Vulajin making his way back through Turtle Rock. Always a pain to double dip, but actually pretty quick to run through the second time once you've already opened all the doors and grabbed the stray chests.
Yep.
He is making that play.
No, he's not.
He is faking us out. He is not making that play on the center chest. He is going straight to the end.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt him any if he did, aside from a few seconds, but...
I mean, I'm sure if he opened that chest, there would be some rage slaps. And I admit, I would like to see them, but I don't blame him for just going as fast as he can to the boss, doing everything he can to finish up here.
And there's the hookshot for Spooty. Mirror out, and we'll see if he decides to check Swamp or if he wants to go check Pod.
I like how Spooty didn't even pick up the pendant. As soon as that hookshot dropped, he had the mirror out already, and he's just out of that dungeon.
Yeah, he knows the pendant is completely worthless, so why bother? So he's on his way to Swamp. Vulajin's on his way to finish out T-Rock.
And you know, I think we're going to see Vulajin check that Pyramid Fairy right after this. Not too long after Spooty finishes taking out Argus. So despite the radically different route these two runners have taken, because they've barely intersected at the same time here, they're going to end up pretty close to each other.
Yep, because neither one of them wants to go check right side Pod. They're doing everything they can not to. because really, is the big key gonna be there? Well, yeah, maybe. But at this point, we can't really think anywhere else it would be.
Half of me is tempted to say, well, you know, you got your desert big key in desert, you got your T-Rock small key in T-Rock, shouldn't you just expect your pod key there? But the game doesn't work that way. It's properly random. You don't know whether those indicate you'll find the pod key in its own dungeon or around the world.
Very nice phase 2 Trinex off
Oh,
of
incredible.
Vulajin. Spin attacking 2 hits, and then the third one in the corner, gets his big 20, gets his other 5-6 crystals, see what he decides to do, Pyramid Fairy or Pod.
Yeah, if he goes straight to pod without doing Pyramid Fairy, that's, you know, good 2 minutes or so that he's going to make up against Spooty, which in this case is valuable.
Oh yeah.
And of
Meyer.
course, chat already calling out Meyer big key to mushroom to pod big key and all the trolley combinations they can think of.
Yep.
Chat, you're nasty. I like our runners. I hope pod big key is on right side pod.
Could be right side pod to mushroom to Meyer big key to have to go back to turn green pendant in.
Ow.
So Vulajin checking Pyramid Fairy will be disappointed with what he finds very shortly. Looks like he will be taking the shortcut too, mirroring to Light World and going across the bridge.
So I'm running through all the locations I can think of in my head in this game. You know, is there any spot that one of these runners hasn't checked? Or that neither of these runners has checked. We saw the big chest in Thieves, the big chest in Skull, we saw the North Dark World, the South Route, the Catfish play quite early. I think pod is all that remains.
Yeah. Spooty entering the Argus fight.
And oh no, Vulajin going back to Kakariko, probably going to do that Thieves Town big chest that Spooty did earlier. Yes, we did see Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb.
Yeah.
If not from both runners, then at least from one of them.
I believe they both checked. I do know they both checked King's Tomb, and I would assume that they both would have checked Bonk Rocks at that same point.
But Vulajin lifts the stone, goes into the Dark World, mirrors out, flutes away. He doesn't want to go to Thieves Town. He wants to go to pod.
Okay. This is crucial. If it is here, and I can't figure out that it wouldn't be, unless it's, you know, a long chain of stuff, this is the play that needs to be made.
This is the bottleneck that both runners have hit with the same amount of hearts, the same armor, the same sword, the same shield, the same arrow count, oddly enough, at this moment. But Spooty's going up the mountain. Spooty hasn't done Hookshot Cave.
Mm-hmm.
Or Hera Basement. Spooty. Spooty, I need you to go to pod.
I mean, honestly, Hookshot Cave over right side pod sounds a lot more reasonable.
It does. It does, but Spooty. Spooty, please go to pod.
So Vulajin making his way through right side will be checking 2 chests shortly. We'll see if this leads him elsewhere or if he will be done with the dungeon.
I mean, at this point, if he gets the pod big key, that's go mode.
There it is.
That's go mode.
That is go mode.
Just over 2 hours into this seed, and Vulajin has hit go mode with one boss fight left to go.
He paused a little bit, finding that big key, like, wait, what? So he may realize it.
Sorry, chat, if you were hoping to send them out of this dungeon into other dungeons around the world just to come back here, you were disappointed tonight. Me? I'm happy that these runners get to go straight to the Helmosaur at this point.
Yeah, this has been an endurance test. Spooty just in the wrong position to light those couple torches, gets his 300 rupees out the chest, and gets out of there. Looks like he'll be on his way over to Hookshot Cave.
So then the question is, if you're Vulajin right now, 2 hours and 5 minutes, you just picked up your Go Mode big key. In the dungeon, it was 4. And you put off Aga that long. How worried are you?
I would be sweating bullets at this point. And just from watching his play, it looks like he is too. You know, just minor movement issues that he otherwise wouldn't have. He is very worried. When in reality, barring something catastrophic, he's got nothing to worry about. He just needs to play smoothly, get through the gauntlet, he'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Spooty needs to get to pod.
Fortunately for Spooty, he's rapidly running out of locations he can check. One silver arrow to Helmosaur takes him down for Vulajin. That is 7 crystals, and it's time for Vulajin to head to Ganon's tower.
Yep. No big key to find. He already got that early enough in Dark Town. He is gone.
And Spooty is headed to pod. So he's going to make that play. They're going to high-five each other somewhere around the entrance to this dungeon, or just miss each other slightly. But Spooty's got some catching up to do here.
There's the flute, up to 1. As Spooty makes his final trip into pod.
So, there are 22 possible chests in a normal game of Randomizer that could contain the big key in Ganon's tower basement. Do not guess any of them tonight, chat, because none of them will pay off. We saw that GT big key a long time ago.
In the bombable hut in Dark Kakariko. And there it is, the big key to pod. Spooty will be on his way to the boss now, as Vulajin is working towards GT.
I like that little flair he put on there, just using the stairs at the front of T-Rock to get the spin speed. Not something I usually see the runners do, but when you already have Hookshot out, you might as well do it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, GT could have the mushroom, it could have Cane of Burna, it could have the bug net. Bug net's really the only useful thing here. But you're not gonna go looking for it. You got silvers, you got butter. Basically, the only thing that would help is red mail. So they may open a chest or 2 on the way. But
I'd be just as expecting to see them blow past every chest.
Oh yeah.
Just trying to get through this as fast as they can, because I think at this point, as you said earlier, both have to feel like they're behind.
Yeah, just watching their play, just minor mistakes that otherwise wouldn't be made. Just small movement things, menuing. They both feel like they are behind and they're just trying to make up time wherever. even if it means skipping red mail.
Now, here's a question. Both runners are holding 4 bottles. Earlier in Vulajin's cold stare fight, we saw him get low on health. He used that red potion. Does he have any other backups in those glass bowls?
He has a green potion. And I believe that might be it.
So green potion, half magic, cape, that should keep him pretty healthy through Ganon's fight, if he needs to do that. And of course, both have powder.
Right. I'd be worried about the gauntlet a little bit. Might decide to take the bonkable room to get to the fairies. You know, bonk over the gap there, but...
Well, it's a bit late for Vulajin to do that right now.
Yeah.
Very nice play on that first ice room. Until he got thrown to the side by some ice blocks. But effective use of silvers for Vulajin. He is going to powder that bunny beam.
5.5 hearts, yeah. Even if it does change the landmarks to fight a little bit, definitely worth picking up the extra health there.
This is why we carry half magic fire rods.
Saving a little bit of magic, just putting a single silver arrow in the third one, and moves on. On to the first wizard room. No trouble. Spooty working his way up to GT. Should get there in a minute or so, as long as the dead rocks don't get in the way. 1 cycle a second, wizard room.
And Vulajin nicely avoiding that fire beam in the first torch room in GT. Going straight up the stairs, doesn't need to recover anything yet.
Yep, he'll probably grab the magic refill the room or two before Moldorm 2, but...
Oh, I hope so.
Well, he does have the green potion, but why risk it? Throwing the bomb a little bit too low.
As Spooty enters the tower, about probably 4 minutes behind at this point.
So dash strats on Moldorm 2, 1 hit, and there's hit number 2. And onward up to Ganon 2.
Now, as these runners go through the gauntlet and get to the top of the tower, there's always one thing I like to check on, which is, do they have at least 4 arrows? Because more than once I've seen that race where someone goes up the gauntlet, only has 3 arrows, doesn't realize it, and then has to finish off the game swordless. That's not a concern here.
Oh yeah, plenty of arrows, nothing to worry about.
Spooty doing that nice trick where you just use your iframes to dash along the bridge and not take any damage after the first fall.
Yep, very useful if you feel like you have enough hearts to deal with that. And there's 6 hits on Aga 2. Vulajin is on to Ganon.
Nice shot with the fire rod by Spooty to take out that Zazix at the very back, but this is not going to be enough for him as Vulajin comes towards the pyramid.
Yep. Pretty smooth gauntlet for Spooty. Just, you know, Pod got both of them.
Pod got both of them, and to an extent, Eastern got Spooty, but in the same way, Agatower got Vulajin.
Yep.
You had to really gamble on some stuff this seed, and we saw both runners do it to great effect. Just kind of in opposite spots to each other, which kept it looking pretty close all the way through.
Smooth, Smooth Lane Mode 2 fight from Spooty, 2 cycles. Vulajin's on to phase 3 of the Ganon fight as Spooty gets out of the first Wizard room. Another 1 cycle. Ganon deciding on the 3rd hit he really doesn't want to get hit again, so he's teleporting a bit. But, nice 4th hit.
Ooh, Vulajin misses that 1 arrow shot, but I don't think that's going to stop him from finishing here. As he gets
Double
that
there.
double.
Here's hit 3, relight the torch. See if he has enough time to get there. No.
Ooh, takes a hit from the fire bat, but that won't stop him. That's a 4th arrow, and Vulajin is going to win this race.
Yep. GG to Vulajin.
GG to him, and Spooty, just a bit behind, not for lack of trying, has done very well in this race and should be commended for his performance still.
Oh, absolutely. It was too close to call for most of it.
But Vulajin will take the win in this race with an official time of 2 hours, 16 minutes, 36 seconds. That brings him to a record of 1-1 in this tournament, dropping Spooty to a 0-2, I believe, but both runners, I think, still going to play a few matches and still going to show off some impressive stuff in the tournament.
Yep. Final chest of the game, just containing the compass to, I believe that was Skullwoods.
Just in case you needed to go back into Skullwoods at the very end and
Sure.
verify, yes, I got all the chests. You can do that. Don't do that.
Possible double there, don't know yet. So 1 or 2 hits on Aga2. That's a triple, so it's 4 or 5, so 1 or 2 more hits should do it. And there it is. Very nice Aga2 fight from Spooty, a 2-3-1.
Yeah, good work on that fight. Hookshotting the wall, maybe a bit frustrated at this point, but certainly that was a heck of a fight we saw from him.
Yep. So as Spooty enters the hole to go into the Ganon fight, Butter Sword, Silver Arrows, not a whole lot of issue here.
And Vulajin is available. I'm going to bring him into this room so we can talk to him for a bit and see just how he's doing. And we are joined by Vulajin. Congratulations and good game there.
Wow, thanks. What the heck happened?
Keysanity happened.
Oh my god.
Look, it was a nice clean seed. You just had to dip into swamp without hookshot, and clear Egg Tower for a Turtle Rock key.
And find big key for pod in pod, right side.
Yeah, all those things happened. Actually, man, with the pod big key, I thought 100% for sure that that Spooty was gonna do that ages before I did, or that it was gonna be like in the big key chest in Turtle Rock. But fortunately, for once, that stupid chest didn't come into play. I was thinking about it. I got to Turtle Rock. I had the 3 keys. I got the one from Aga, and I was like, there are 2 options. There's 2 chests left, locations in the entire game, as far as I knew at that point. Thieves Town big chest, and that big key chest. And I was like, okay, so it can't be the pod big key, because if it is, then where's the Thieves Town? Where's the Turtle Rock small key? It must be in Thieves Town, in which case I'm just screwed. So I have to bank on it not being there. And it couldn't be, or it could have been the other Turtle Rock key, in which case I just wouldn't have cared. But yeah, so I don't know. I was thinking a lot of things at that point. I was just like, screw it. I hope Trinex has this. If not, Pyramid Fairy. If not, I don't even know.
Well, we'll tell you what it was in just a second. I want to point out SpootyBiscuit has finished this race as well with an official time of 2 hours, 19 minutes, 55 seconds. So, like, 3.5 minutes between the two of you.
Oh my god.
Really speaks to just how close you two were. You both cleared most of the game, just in incredibly different orders.
Mm-hmm.
Pachu, would you like to tell Vulajin what was in that chest?
A turtle rock small key.
Of course. Oh gosh.
All right, and I think we're going to bring SpootyBiscuit in here as well. There he is.
Hey. So,
GG there, how are you feeling?
someday I'll figure out how to not 100% a Keysanity seed, but this is not that day.
Dude, me too. Oh my god.
I was feeling so good, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna do Aga early for that small key, because it's gonna be a Turtle Rock key. And then it was. And then the big chest key was the other Turtle Rock small key, so it was absolutely required. And then, like, I'm like, all right, that's great. Where's the big key?
Oh no. Dude, I went the opposite way. I held off until like the last possible moment on doing Naga, and then finally I had literally every other key in the game.
Yeah,
except for 2 Turtle Rock keys.
Odd big key trolled the ever-living daylights out of me.
Oh yeah, me too.
Gotta love those big keys in vanilla dungeons. Speaking of which, desert.
Oh yeah, there was that one. Fortunately, that was early though.
Yeah.
But did you have any other overworld locations at all left when you went to Pod? Because
no, I literally the only things I haven't checked are like the Meyer big key stuff and the big chest and the spike room in Pod. I've checked everything else.
Meyer big key?
Yeah, I never found Meyer big key, so I never.
You didn't
checked
find it. Yeah.
At this point, I'm assuming it was in GT somewhere.
Yeah,
but it almost had to be.
Oh boy. The hookshot and Armos threw me for a loop for a bit. I really thought I got that pretty late. I don't know about you, but I thought that was gonna screw me totally.
Yeah. And I took a couple overworld deaths, which might have turned it around if I'd avoided that. It was tragic.
Oh, yeah, those are the worst, dude.
I bonked for the ferry in front of Pyramid, and the bonk, like one of the bomb giants just like wandered into where my bonk landed me. It was so dumb.
That was maybe the painful moment of the night to see. Just you don't want that to happen. But
yeah, that was rough.
Sometimes the game's AI and physics will do that to you.
Oh man, what a seed. Good old Keysanity.
Yep, it's always a good time.
Oh my god. I don't even know what to say now. My heart is still just pounding. Like when I didn't see you done up until the time I entered Ganon's tower, I was like, oh wow, okay, so he's gonna like finish while I'm climbing the tower. That's awesome. I'm so glad that I was within a couple minutes of you. Oh.
I think I just think I need more work on figuring out how to read Keysanity seeds, because I think pretty much every Keysanity run I've ever done, except for one, was a 100% clear. I swear it can't be done. It's just impossible. Don't even bother. I don't understand how you guys do it. It's literally impossible.
I mean, like, it's not like I avoided it. I also pretty much 100% of this, other than like Ganon's Tower and the stuff that was blocked. The only thing I didn't check was Thieves Town Big Chest that I had access to. And
I went back for that.
What
you
was
missed out on a lovely heart container.
Oh man, that entire heart.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to like describe what I did, because I pretty much was just like, I don't know, we got lucky with the mirror early, so I was like, well, let's do North Dark World because I can actually do Graveyard Ledge, and I was like, oh, let's go over to Zora, and I had like the worst Zora route ever. That was a complete like derp on my part. I was like, when I first got flippers, I went up there. with 400 rupees, and there were 50 on the ledge, but I only had 400, so I'm like, okay, screw it, we're gonna come back. So I went to Catfish and then went there, and I still had to pick up the 50 to have 500, and then Zora was, I don't know, Zora was actually useful, right, for once.
Zora was a big key for something.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
forget which
something
one.
important. Or maybe not. Was it
I
Ice?
believe
Maybe.
it's Steve's big key.
Oh yeah, the Thieves Town Dookie.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I also, I really thought like going to Ice Palace early, which yielded literally nothing, that was also like a losing move for me. But
Oh, that was a huge time sink.
yeah,
For
but
both of us, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
We couldn't get items, so it didn't matter in the end.
it was just kind of a wash for both of you.
Oh God.
At different points in the run, and that's what made it so hard from where we were sitting to tell who was ahead, because you guys just didn't do things in the same order as each other.
We also didn't do things in the right order, clearly, according to the seed.
I
But,
don't think there was a right order here.
But just as I think the best example, Vulajin, your second trip to Swamp, where you were going straight to the boss, was at the same time as Spooty's first trip to Swamp.
Oh my God.
Spooty,
Wow.
your second trip to Turtle Rock, when you went straight to Trinex, was at the same time as Vulajin's first trip to Turtle Rock.
Yep.
Oh, man.
You know, there was sync in where you were, just not in what you had done for most of this race, and it really kept us guessing until the end.
That's incredible. I can't wait to watch this back. Well, I need to just not go somewhere else and, like, I don't know, dip my head in ice to cool down a little bit. So
I hear there's a whole palace for that even has some heart containers for you if you need it. So in that case, both runners, any final thoughts on how this went for you? Any final words for the night?
This mode's impossible. Literally impossible. When can we have open mode again?
I mean, my entire thought is like, I mostly when I'm playing in this tournament, I'm just trying to like play well for myself. I did not really expect to win this match today, so my brain is kind of exploded. Spooty, considering what the seed was, and you only finished 3 minutes behind my time, which I thought was like pretty fast. Obviously, you also played this pretty well for what it was. So GG, dude.
Man, GG's.
Yeah, thanks to both of our runners for putting on this great show for us. I think we'll wrap it up at this point then. If you haven't done so already, give these runners a follow if you want to see more of what they do. Because, I think we saw they race at a pretty good level. Thanks again to Dragon Master 0283 for tracking this, and Death Star for restreaming all of this. I've been Filey, and I've been joined by the wonderful Pachu, who's going to get the last word tonight.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching us. Like Phileon said, give these runners a follow. The tracker, Dragon Master, Restreamer, Death Star. We got more tournament matches coming up soon. Let me get some times for you here. If my browser would like to load. Looks like have actually a couple races coming up real soon. In an hour or so on Speed Gaming, Dow TMB versus Chloe Prower. 1 a.m., so 2 hours from now, Eastern, Stinger PA versus Flaffykins. And then tomorrow afternoon, starting at 2 on the Speed Gaming Network, and here on ALTTPR, we will have more matches. So, for everybody here, thank you for watching, and we will see you again sometime. Take care. Have a good night.